It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in.
To the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release.
That finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
To that button. Here we go. We're on here.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. And for all of y'all out there going, what the hell am I listening to? You are now listening to The Shield Within. And we welcome you, and we're glad you're here with us today. This is episode 11, Double Hockey Sticks. Mm-hmm. And we're also super excited we have another guest. Mm-hmm. The one, the only, FD Donnie.
That's right.
FD Donnie's in the house.
Welcome all. Thank you. Thank you.
We're on a pretty good mood today. It's a nice, warm, sunny afternoon here in bright and cheerful Ohio. Let's do the business first. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Into Facebook? Hey, everybody's into Facebook unless you're old like me. So swing by our Facebook page. Facebook / The Shield Within. If you're into mindless stuff on the internet, go to theshieldwithin.com. Or better yet, if you're in need and you want to listen to David and his words of wisdom, you can reach out to him personally. www.lessonslearnedcoaching.com or go to theshieldwithin.com and push that coaching button. You'll get right to him. We also like to let our first responders know that things that are discussed on this show may trigger something. Mm-hmm. It may keep you awake. Mm-hmm. It may cause you to be like me, be a binge eater. But I got a phone call the other day from a colleague, and they said, episode 8 stirred some stuff up, man. I said, hey, I know a guy. I know a guy that can help you out. So anyway, just be aware.
Yeah.
Be active, though. Be active in your own mental health. Mm-hmm. Be very you aware.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Donnie?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So, David, how are you?
I'm good,
My
man.
esteemed colleague. I didn't introduce you. Shame on me. My esteemed colleague here, Dr. David Buchanan.
Good evening to all.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to spending time with Donnie. The 2 times we've spent time together, I walked away saying to anybody in my life, man, I really like that guy. He's just really easy for me to be with. I don't have to, put anything on. I could just chill and be with Donnie. So both times I was like,
that's good to hear.
Cool. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too.
How's your life right now? You liking how it's going?
It's going better.
Going better.
Things are going good now. Smooth transition out of the fire service now, so into regular life.
Regular life, yes. Well put. There is a dividing line, isn't there?
It's definitely different, but I'm loving every minute of it now. I wouldn't change anything.
Awesome.
Honestly.
Awesome. Well, since I know jack shit about you, except I love being with you.
Yes.
Good place to start.
Yeah.
Okay. You were a fireman.
Yep.
And what led you to make that decision to become a fireman? And how old were you? That kind of shit.
Oh, good God. I was fairly young, actually, because my grandfather was a firefighter at Butler Township. And then my dad also was a captain here.
Oh, wow.
On the EMS side of things. So
you grew up with it kind of like more or less a family tradition.
Yeah, I grew up knowing that this was a messed up field.
Okay.
And that has not changed. So.
Therefore, I want to do it.
Yeah, I did, and then my brother also followed the footsteps too for a little while, and then he got out a little bit before me. But
okay,
we all just knew it was that time.
Generally speaking, if you don't want to name the department you work for, it's up to you.
We'll skip that.
We'll skip that part. Generally,
but we can share that MTC's agency, or same city. Donnie and I worked in the same city. So
that's
people that know us. But for the rest of us out there, and welcome our new listeners in the continent of India. So go to our Facebook page and throw us a shout out on there. So we thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. And any words of wisdom you have to share with us, we'll be happy to hear them. Mm-hmm. So, small town, 10, 15,000 people.
Yeah, 15 to 20,000 roughly. I mean, including the township.
Including the township. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Where we're sitting.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we're sitting.
Ding,
okay.
ding, ding, yeah.
Okay. And at the time, 18?
Yeah, 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as soon as I graduated high school in 97, I got hired in 98, January of 98, that beginning, so.
And I know nothing about this, bro. It's the first time I've ever asked a fireman this question. What the hell is training like for a fireman? What did you go through?
Went through 120 hours to become a level 1 fireman, and then a semester and a half to become an EMT, and then I did another 120 hours to become a level 2 fireman. Then I did fire inspector, fire investigator. I did a bunch of different things. The only thing I did not pursue that I was going to was my medics.
Okay.
I stopped at the EMT point.
Okay.
So.
Hard?
Yeah, I took it test 6 times. So yeah, it was pretty hard for me at one time.
Those tests are fucked up, dude. Yeah. One answer's
okay.
There's
They're
2
all
right answers. You just have to find the most right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Donnie said, the answers are all right, but what degrees of right? Does that make sense? To me, it seemed like a test that's designed for failure.
Wow.
What is the first right is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
The first right.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do first? Now, all 4 of these you're going to do, but what would you do first?
Oh, it's sequencing.
Basically, yes.
Okay. And you took them too, Mark?
I was a medical first responder. At the time, our agency, you got paid an extra percentage for becoming a medical first responder, 2% on the hour, I believe what it was. Because the fireside at the time when I started in 2001 was all volunteer, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. The EMS was all volunteer.
Yes.
And we would get there first and be able to render aid until, the volunteers came out, which God love them, man. I think one of my first calls, I worked with you ever. Donnie and I worked together on both sides. Mm-hmm. And quite proud to say that, I loved every minute I worked with this man. Mm-hmm. But I was a medical first responder. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. I was a step below him as an EMT basic. We did not carry oxygen. We did not carry any care in the car, other than fucking Band-Aids. And I wouldn't put them on my dog. But, it just, goddamn, dude, that hurts. Just sit there and grit it out. All right, they'll be here in a minute. I mean, other than that, we did a lot of CPR. I kind of felt like I was Dr. Death there for a while because most of my patients died. But we had some successes. Mm-hmm. Donnie was on some of my shit shows. Donnie was there the night that I call them the Hinders Heroes, which we had the guy die on us, and we brought him back with early CPR.
Wow.
Which you BLS, basic life support, correct? And Donnie was coming in the door with advanced life support that he was about ready to, tune him up with. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the miracle times of my career that I'm very proud of, and I got to share with this man across the table from me.
Wow.
And awesome. The guy walked out of that location.
Yeah, he stood up and walked down.
He would not go with us and the medic. I was like, all right. I said, dude, you literally just had a heart attack.
Yeah.
But he
he was a cardiac nurse at Reed Memorial Hospital in Richmond.
So that's where he was going to
go.
And
he's like, nah, he shit himself. His bowel let go. His bladder let go. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, yeah, that's me. Yeah. So he went home, took a shower, went to Reed. They hooked him up. They're like, admitted him immediately. He was in for like 4 days.
He drove himself?
His wife drove. Thank God his wife drove. But me and the other 2 cops that were there, we paid his bill, took care of everything for us. And then I had to do a little investigation, figure out who he was and where he lived. And I called him and, hey, man, how you doing? Wow. It was some of the cool shit me and FD Donnie have done together.
Wow. What's the difference between Fireman 1 and Fireman 2?
120 hours of education. I mean, in all honesty, part of it is like your first 120 hours is buying your toolbox and putting your basic tools in it.
Okay.
Let's go that route.
Right.
Your next 120 hours is buying your more advanced tools to put in your toolbox to know how to use them further.
Okay.
So you go further into depth. Like, okay, I'm not saying it this way, but level 1, this is a ladder. Well, level 2, this is a ladder, this is the rungs, this is the dogs, this is the paws, this is It's not that way, but I'm just saying that's kind of how it is. It's
Right.
That's kind of how they do that.
Is there a fireman 3?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Level 2 is the top currently
Okay.
from the state of Ohio. So
And did you have to be a fireman 1 for so long before you could?
no. A lot of guys now they just go straight into all of it, get all of them done, and then go look for a job. Yeah, you don't even have to be. Yeah.
No experience necessary.
No. Nope, not at all.
Oh, you can go to come in, bash my windows out, and blow a 4-inch hose full of water inside the room. And then I say, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fireman.
Thanks for fucking my shit up. Here, cut some holes in the roof while you're here.
So that's
Coming
kind of the
from a
first.
cop, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Donnie and I do nothing but love one another, but nobody bust balls like FD Donnie.
Only on a good
He has
day.
a picture he'll share with me. I'll put it up on our social media.
I do.
I drove through did they just redo the concrete there or something like that? But I wasn't aware. It was late at night and he's working, and I stopped by the firehouse and I drove through. There was like a little curb lawn between the business next door to the firehouse and I drove through it, and it was just mud, man. Fucking mud. And I had it all over the apron in front of the firehouse, and I felt so bad. I'm like, dude, go get me a hose. I'll clean this up. Well, this motherfucker, oh, sure, buddy, here you go. And I'm out there. Well, he's standing over there fucking videoing me. What every cop wants to do.
Yep. Every cop's dream to become a fireman.
Fireman wannabe.
That's
Signed
right.
up here. I love it.
Now, and honestly, with the level 1 and EMT, a lot of kids now can take it like their senior year while in school.
Oh, wow.
And then when they graduate high school, they already have that done. A lot of them are going to that now.
And do those kids get jobs? Do they go for work? Or
A lot of them. I mean, current city we're in is trying to recruit that. So they're trying to get those people as soon as they're out.
cheap?
We've got a job for you at the moment. Come
Well,
on.
no, the day of volunteerism's gone.
Yeah. It's,
Okay, we can't pay cops $100,000 a year and get them come to work. We're paying them. Now, when I first started, all right, I volunteered my time. For the first half. No, I shouldn't say first half. For at least probably 8 years, I volunteered and I got paid some, but I was mostly a volunteer police officer, an auxiliary, a reserve unit. And I thought, well, let's kind of cross over into the fire side as well. So I started EMT training, which I found out that just wasn't at the time my cup of tea. So I backed out of that, but I used to live in Covington, Ohio, and they were all volunteer up there. And there was a core group of dedicated professionals, and they ran squad, and that's what they did. You know, Donnie was the same way. So you go to school this whole time, you pay a lot of money, and I think being paid, you guys are what, $10 an hour, $12 an hour?
at the time.
Yeah.
When I first started, yes.
A $12 an hour job to take on this much fucking drama, to deal with this much gore and death, because you got to want to do that.
That's right.
Now, there is a big reward with fire if you can get on with a good fire company.
If you can get on
The
full time,
benefits
yes.
are awesome.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing kind of bothered me the most with the volunteer side of things is for your mental health side of it is because we were not full time, and I mean even your part time people, you didn't have benefits to be able to go do that. There was avenues they could send you to, and
Okay.
you could go talk to somebody.
And you could pay for it.
Exactly, or you pay for it like I did.
Yeah.
So
Right.
and that was one thing. Was one kind of my goal towards the end for me for my career is that I was looking into finding outlets for people to be able to use, because I knew where I was at from day one until day whatever.
Yeah.
I knew you need this shit now. So
Right. Don't wait.
yep, yeah. There's no game. Yeah,
no
you don't
reward
wait
now.
on that.
Yeah. Curious. In your training, all those 240 hours plus, how much was mental health mentioned?
0.0.
Right.
I mean, literally, there was
Not
none
at all.
No. If you had anything, you had the suck it up buttercup stuff. That's pretty much what you were told.
Pussy. Oh, you can't take it.
Yeah, there was no.
So, like, you
Very little to zero.
and you get your first job, you're 3-4 months in, anybody around you bringing up mental health?
No, I don't remember anybody even really doing that at the time. It took a little while. Even the numerous calls I was on, the different things I seen, I don't remember anybody like saying, "Hey, you need to do this." I mean, like I said, it was a while.
Took a while.
It took a long while. Took a long while.
Before you walked into the job, age 18, you're not married.
Mm-hmm.
You're living at home.
Yes, at the time. Mm-hmm.
At that point in your life, had you been through any trauma?
Yeah, I've been through plenty of that before that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Looking back, did that help? You get through the shit that you went through in fire?
I would say for me it did, yeah, to an extent. But on the same, basically, my brother was born with cancer. So, I mean, that's kind of one thing that I kind of dealt with, as growing up is my brother. I knew he was, everything needed, to revolve around him to help him to get him better through his chemo, through everything he's done.
Right.
So, I grew up kind of, I don't want to say on my own.
Yeah.
But I kind of grew up on my own.
Yes.
But, because mom and dad were taking care of him and doing their things. Dad was working extra jobs just to, to pay for all that at the time. So
right.
That definitely made a difference in my life. So that did help me, I guess, if you will. But then now I'm currently in my therapy dealing with little Donnie, as Jerry would have said,
Yeah.
and to learn how to cope with that, to start working on to now. So
The longer term stuff that's been there for so
I'm tidying.
long. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. You're 18.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad's a fireman still?
No, I had to think about that. Sorry, no.
Okay. So, did he ever talk about his life as a fireman with y'all?
No. Dad never talked about anything.
Grandpa?
No.
They were from the generation where you just shut it the fuck down.
Yeah, you just do.
You don't talk about that shit at home. Of course, probably like my dad, you don't talk about anything other than
Period.
you talk. You speak words,
Right.
but you don't talk about anything.
Yeah.
That was. I think it's just that generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That post-war generation.
I mean, you go through my dad. I mean, Vietnam vet and everything too. So it's like
Oh, wow.
he didn't speak a whole lot of anything.
Gotcha.
So
I didn't know that about your father.
101st Airborne.
Oh wow.
68 to 71. So, yep.
Never discussed.
Oh God, no. He never discussed any of that. I learned more about what my dad did after his passing than I did when he was alive about what he did.
Really?
Yeah. Just talking to some family members that he did feel close enough to talk to about those things. So PTSD obviously was definitely one of them. I mean, when he goes to, you flip a newspaper, just a little flip of a newspaper, just the sound. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were on a trip one time in Minnesota, and I remember, waking up, Dad was drawn back. He was ready to hit. So there's just different things of just his flashbacks, so.
Yes. The triggers.
Yeah.
Oh,
but again, I never pried, never asked.
Right.
So.
Right. Did you find yourself wanting to share your experiences, mom, dad, friends? Did any of that, did you feel compelled almost to express, my God, you won't believe what I did today?
At home, some, yes. Obviously in the fire, EMS police side altogether, we do our little thing back at the station, and we all talk, if you will. Okay. Like Mark talks about the black humor or the dark humor that we have.
Right. Yes.
And that's the biggest thing is with that I didn't talk too much at home. They knew when to ask questions and when not to.
Gotcha.
I mean, when you walk in the door, you could definitely tell it's like, no, leave him alone. It's
Daddy had a bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dad knew that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
And he would honor that.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Leave him alone. Okay.
Dad knew.
How far into the job as fireman did you get married?
Good question.
3 or 4 years into it.
3 or 4 years in.
So if you want to go back to some of the history of things,
yeah,
me and my wife's boyfriend at the time got hired on the fire department at the same time.
Wow.
Oh shit.
And then he came to me one day and said, "Hey, here's her phone number. She'd like for you to call her sometime. And
that's odd.
And that was that. He's like, yeah, he goes, we kind of just broke up. So that was it.
Oh, by the way, if you see FD, give my number.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
like,
that's
brother.
That's kind of haven't seen that Eskimo in a while.
Yeah.
Wrong podcast. My bad.
No. We are healing through humor here. On
That's right. That's right.
That we are.
Yeah, we may give those motherfuckers a call because they're recording tonight too.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that relationship started.
Obviously, you knew her.
Yeah, by hanging out with him. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And at the point 3-4 years in, how much trauma had you already gone through?
Tons. I mean, yeah, tons. Because one of my clicks, or if you will, or whatever, every death I go on, I take a mental picture in my head. And when I go to bed, I lay down in chronological order. Day 1, guy shot himself, Broadway Street here in town. That was day 1. I remember that plain as day. And it's face. It's picture, up until the current one. It could be grandma that just passed away on a couch to something more serious,
right.
Car accident, whatever.
Right.
And all I have to do is I look, and like I said, it's a mental picture I take, and that's how I deal with it.
Wow.
They don't haunt. They don't do anything else. It's just strictly, I go to sleep, or right before I go to bed.
Right.
I go through every single one of them. I see all their faces.
Do you see them in your dreams?
No. So I'm saying only when I go to bed.
Only when you go to bed.
So is it kind of like a Rolodex?
It's picture. But if they get out of order, then I have to turn it around and start over again. But as soon as I'm done, it's gone. It's done. I'm good.
Put away.
Yep. But I have to do it, and I don't know. I don't understand
I have
why.
4 letters on my mind right now, and I think David does too.
Could be E.
Yeah. I'll take E for 100, Alex. Ding.
Yeah.
What about that MDR?
Right.
You got it, bro.
Right.
Now, literally, your first day on the job.
No, it wasn't the first day. But
week?
Within the first couple of weeks, yes.
Okay. Now, that first one happened,
and
you're there at the scene. Do you know what it's doing to you?
No. At that time, I didn't know.
Didn't feel different?
No, because part of it was the suck it up thing for a while. It was kind of like I just let it go. I filed it away. I didn't worry about it.
Aces.
And then as things progressed in my career, my time, my life, that's when I knew something was up. It was different.
It had to accumulate.
Yeah.
Before it reached the level of awareness inside.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
This is all piled up.
Yeah.
Even though you've gone through what I would consider a really nice remedy for prevention at bedtime, to kind of file those pictures away, file that experience away before you go to sleep. Awesome piece of work for all those listening. My God, take that to heart. Consider doing that, because it's a lovely way of helping put something away, which is what your brain is doing when it files that event, is it's putting it away. Donnie helped kind of facilitate that process with that ritual. I love that. But at the time it happened, that ritual hadn't developed yet.
Oh, no. It almost more caught you off guard.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. It wasn't until we took a mental health class, and a lady from Right Pat came in, and she was talking to us. And that's where I, at that time, said, hey, this is what I do. And then it was kind of like, really? And then so we had that conversation back and forth, and she kind of figured out that, okay, it's more than what you think.
Yes.
And then from there, that started getting the ball rolling some.
The day after that first event, Anything different? Did you sleep different, feel different, drink more, stay to yourself? Anything reaction that kind of looking back?
A lot of times I stay to myself. I shut down on everybody.
Were you told to do that?
No.
Or you just chose to do that?
That's just me. Just the way I've always dealt with things. I've just kind of shut down.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because, like with me, I was told by some old hat cops, don't share that with your family. So I didn't know if an old hat at your agency or your department had said.
We did have some of that, though.
Okay.
Yeah, how you say? Because we did tailboard talks. We sit on the back of a truck, fire truck, tailboards,
right,
and just sit there and shoot the shit about the call or whatever. But some things would get to the point where, like, let's not bring that up. Let's not talk about that. Let's not.
But why?
Don't air that out because you're handling it to them right then and there on the back of that truck.
Okay, so they're thinking that the tailboard talk is enough.
For them, yeah, it would have. Yes,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what do you think of that, David? As a therapist, what do you think about that?
Boy, this is such a big deal to me. As you both know, better than I ever could. If you tell your spouse, your kids, your family, your world nothing about what you do, there's a price to pay for that.
Yes, there is.
If you tell them way too much stuff about what your day's been like, there's a price to pay for that.
Okay.
Because then you're adding to somebody else's trauma imagery that they don't need to have that scene in their head. So, like, it's in between. It's like if you share nothing, if you share too much, so somewhere in between.
Right.
It's like
how do you find the balance?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And what I don't know if it's fantastically therapeutic or not, but what struck me about all my first responders, EMT, highway patrol, etc., is they have 10 times more stories about weird shit.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yes.
Than about traumatic shit.
Right.
And there's sometimes some benefit in the first responders' experience that I need to share some of this with somebody. So choose something really, really bizarre. Almost every day that you had, yes. Share that incredibly weird house that you went in this afternoon that had a tunnel through the wall of shit that went from floor to ceiling. And Hoarders, exactly. That's not...
Been there, done that.
Haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Good God, have we?
So, like, that's the kind of stuff I think it relieves some of that pressure to share something, gives the spouse something to relate to. God, what did you do with that?
Well, even with the hoarders, my wife Susan could not wrap her mind around it. She I was describing the scene to her and the stench, and she's just like, Donnie, were you the one there? Did you go to the one on Comanche where you had to walk up into the trash where she died in the living room?
Yes.
Well, you were on that one, right?
Yes.
Where we had to put the Tyvek. You gave us the Tyvek suits.
Yes.
Right, because that place was literally a biohazard. She was saving her own feces. And was bagging it and keeping it in the bathroom. Donnie's like, yeah, don't go in there without a Tyvek and a mask on because you're going to get something really bad out of here. So I'm trying to explain. I went home and virtually burned my uniform. I stripped down butt naked before I went in the house under his advice. And then I went and bought everyone 90% isopropyl alcohol, which fucking kills everything. Matter of fact, the boots that I had on that night, I didn't wear for like a week.
Wow.
After that, I wore my old boots to work just because this place was the place that nightmares are made of. The fruit flies were thick. It's like I said, she bagged her shit and threw it in the bathroom. Just pile upon pile, bag after bag of feces. But as I'm trying to explain this to her, she's like, wait a minute, you had to walk up the trash. I said, we couldn't stand up because the trash in the room was literally 5 foot deep. Well, think about that. The room we're in right now has 8 foot ceilings or 9 foot ceilings, 5 foot of trash. And she was laying on a sleeping bag.
Oh my.
Her TV, she dug out to look down at the TV.
Yeah.
And she's laying on this sleeping bag, and that's where she died. And we had to go in and get her. And there's dead birds in cages. There's a dead cat in there. And her son, well, we've been trying to clean this up. And I looked at him and I said, we both know that's not true. I didn't say anything negative. You know, he just lost his mom because his mom's suffering horribly from mental illness.
Right.
You know, when Donnie shows up, he's like, you guys need to get the fuck out of there. What? You know, what do you call it? Stupid cop syndrome?
Yeah, exactly.
dead copitis or whatever the hell.
See the dead cop blue canary is what we call it.
Yeah, blue canary. There you go. You know, you got the dead cop up there in the safe zone because we're too stupid. You know,
the cop is not going to park their car and physically walk up there when they can drive right up beside it. Get out and look. Oh yeah, there they are.
You were there the night the woman hit the semi, right, up on 25A. Yeah. Where was old Marc the Cop? Right in the fucking zone, man. And they're screaming at me on the radio, back the fuck up. We had flames, 100 foot in the air?
Oh, they were, yeah.
And there was a repressed memory, and my EMDR brought it out. Mm-hmm. I forgot that I watched that woman in the car fanning the flames out of her. She's totally engulfed in flames. She's fanning the flames out of her face, trying to keep herself from burning. And then I totally repressed that memory.
Right.
You know, it was a horrific scene. Yes. Horrific. Mm-hmm. But I thought a tanker truck, I don't know what the fuck I was looking at. Which way did you come? Did you come from the south and the north? South. And then we had Troy come down from the north, right?
I would assume that's, yeah.
Troy fire came down. It was all 5 lanes was burning. I mean, the power lines up there, 60 foot in the air, burn all the insulation on the power lines. It was unbelievable. 400 gallons of diesel fuel ignited.
That took a while to put out, didn't it?
Oh yeah. Yes.
We had cans exploding in the back of the semi, popping out the all over.
This truck was on its way to California from National Truck Brokers here in the agency where we work at.
Right.
And the fire was so hot that the frame of the truck melted and the back of the truck just the semi trailer itself bent in half, and the center of it was on the pavement. I was up so close that when the tires exploded, I could feel the percussion rattle me to my core. You know, my supervisor's on the radio. Get the fuck back. Blue Canary, I like that.
It's the Blue Canary. Send a Blue Canary up there. They'll find it for you.
Wow. Okay.
So, David, do you have a pretty good idea what Donnie and I did for a living?
That's a movie, man. That's a movie that you see in a movie, and you never imagine being in it, a part of it, on the front line of it.
I was sitting on West Main, close to 25A, when I heard it. And I got on the air and I said, Miami, we've just had a major explosion. I'm going to be heading north on 25A. I'll let you know further when I figure it out, but you need to get fire on their way. And that's when they started dropping tones. And when I got up there, I come over the overpass, which crossed a major interstate north-south, and all I saw was a wall of fire.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
I've got some pictures from that somebody took. Bystander took it.
No, they are spectacular.
They're pretty impressive.
Send them to me, or I'm going to make you an administrator. People may not know this is producer Donnie. Donnie produces this show. He's our sound engineer, and he also produces our show. Thank you very much. He does an amazing job. When you hear me say, Donnie, key the music, this is the guy we're talking to.
This is that dumbass.
No, he does a great job. But yeah, we'll put those up on social media so everybody can see that for this episode. Yeah.
Did you share that story, either of you? Did you share that story with anybody else at home? Friends, anybody?
I don't know. Did we?
I did not.
We haven't done it on either podcast. Now, Donnie's been a guest on the Illest podcast, as we all have. Obviously, I'm one of the hosts on there as Marc the Cop, and David, you've been on, and Donnie, you've been on. And
I've been on with David.
We sat right next to each other.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I enjoyed that.
For some reason, where my memory comes from with you two interacting is at Mr. Hat's retirement party.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
But,
That was the
I
initial.
think at the end of our time, we're going to call the other show because it's recording right now. We need to do a little pod festing. I think that'd be fun. But I don't think we've ever shared that story. I may have brought it up in like our episode 3 or 4, but I don't think we have.
I never shared it at home either.
Right. And
Just because the female that died in it,
Exactly.
just the way she was burned up and everything. I never shared that information.
right. To me, that would be one of the things you don't share.
No, God no.
Specifically because of that feature. Yeah, that doesn't happen, then maybe you can share some of that.
I
But
had people screaming at me to get her out, and I said, I'm not fireproof, guys.
Yeah,
I would love to get her out, but I can't get in that fire, bro.
right.
You need to do something.
Nope.
I remember feeling so helpless,
Yes,
wanting to help her,
yes.
watching her fan, and the poor soul was sorry.
It has to hit you. You can't just watch a thing like that without an impact, without it doing something to you, bro. You can't be her. You can't be helping her. You can't be with her. You can't give her comfort. You have to do the thing you've signed up to do, which is to sit there on the fucking front row of the tragedy parade, knowing damn well it'll come. I don't know what flavor the float will be, but it'll come.
You can't become a victim of trying, somebody else's problem.
That's
I hate
right.
to say it that way,
Yeah.
but you have your number one is you, and that's what you got to take care of.
Same thing with drownings and different kinds of situations in life where
Been there, done that.
Well, it's you go down that path. I just had to ground a little bit because I
Yeah.
got super emotional over that. But
good for you, bro. It's all good.
and well, but it's another EMDR session I got to do with Jerry.
Yeah. That was a lasting image and a lasting internal experience.
I had to when I sat back in the chair, and for the audience at home, we need to get video. But for the audience at home that's not seeing this, I had to sit back in the chair and get my feet on the ground and remind myself where I'm at, because I was back there on the scene. I was smelling the burned diesel. I was smelling the burnt rubber. So I had to do a little grounding there.
Yes. You did exactly what Jerry told us to do. When those of you who are listening get triggered by the material we're presenting and sharing, that's number one thing, is to have a protocol for grounding, which Jerry described beautifully well in episode 9. And Marc just practiced. It's an incredibly consistently beneficial, impactful thing to do. And it can bring you down very greatly, very quickly. Good for you, man.
Otherwise, we weren't finishing this episode. It was going to be you and Donnie for the rest of it.
But
I don't want to apologize. I don't want to apologize for that because, like we talk about, you're not going to suppress an orgasm.
Yeah.
Why are you going to suppress crying, or why are you going to suppress what you went through? I knew I wasn't there. I knew I was here in the studio, and I knew I was here with my great colleagues and friends. It passes, but you just got to work. You got to develop those skills. And Marc the Cop of the past would have been in shutdown mode after that, but we're here. We're back. So just give me a minute here to recollect.
Remember where you are. Remember where you aren't.
Yes, I'm not there.
And then bring yourself back.
When was that, Donnie? Was that 10 years ago?
Oh, at least something like that.
Had to be
I'm
every
trying
bit 10 years ago. So think about
God, I'm
that,
trying to
ladies and
think.
gentlemen. 10 years ago, I repressed that memory for several years. It came out in a session. I relived it. I haven't healed it. I just lived it again. So it was just like when I shared in the last episode when I was taking communion and I smelled. Donnie made that comment, your white diamonds moment.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and that's one thing about the Shield Within, what we want to experience is that, yes, people do this every day. This happens every day.
That's right.
And it's great that you're here to be able to see the other side of it, David.
Exactly. Exactly. I love hearing it. I'm a part of the audience just as well.
Correct.
Well, can we move forward?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, The day you decided to call a therapist.
Okay.
What was that day like?
Go listen to episode 7 when a certain Marc the Cop was going to be bringing a t-shirt over to a guy and sitting out in front of his house, and he had a plan that night.
Yeah.
I was that guy.
You were...
I was prepared to end everything then. I was at that point in my life, and that's when I asked Marc, when we had that conversation out front, and basically when he said he was getting ready to start at Remington, I was like, no shit. And that's where I was at that time. That's when I asked him, I said, who do you talk to?
Right.
You know, who are you currently seeing? Who are you talking to? I have to do something with my life and figure it out. So that's when that day started. So
Was that at morning? Was that in the morning?
no, it was at night.
No, it was at night. It was probably-
afternoon.
What was your morning and afternoon like that day?
I honestly don't remember. I don't know. I mean, I was going through so much shit during that time frame.
Right.
So
Right.
just, and it was all with marriage and the department and everything, and my own decisions and mistakes I've made in my past.
Yes.
So it was kind of one of those. It was time to check out, and that's where I was at that time. And that's again, I've listened to episode 7 numerous times, not necessarily for that memory,
Yeah.
but to know where I'm at today. And then the weird thing is because the same thing in that episode. What is one of my triggers, Marc? Do you remember?
Drowning.
What was the next thing you said after you talked about that?
Drowning.
That was the very next thing that you said, is you talked about that. And I was mowing the grass when I listened to that episode when I was doing the producing part of it, and I was listening to it out, mowing, and I had to stop, and I gathered everything for a minute because I knew, first of all, the very first thing you talked about was me. Okay.
No, out of love.
And I know that.
Absolutely.
And then and that's why I'm willing to open up and say episode 7, I'm that guy. And then the very next thing was the drowning. And then just to repress that is like, that just hit me. And it was one of those things, stop the mower. I continued listening, and I had to take a moment, think about some things, clear my head, but kind of like the Rolodex, the pictures and stuff. I had to do that for the drowning part because I've had that. 2 out of the 4 drownings I've had now have been firemen's family members.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And the very first one I was ever on, and that was in 98 or 99, was the old fire chief's mom.
Wow.
And me and his brother was on the fire department also. We swapped the weeks. It was our shift week. We swapped weeks. I went to Myrtle Beach, and he was supposed to go to Florida. So I show up on the call. I know going into it, it's a body recovery. Get down there, and Tony's standing there. I'll get that. Sorry, Tony's standing there, and
You can edit this out.
yeah, no, I'm good. Tony was standing there, and I asked him. I was like, "Dude," I said, "The hell are you doing here?"
What are you doing here? Yeah.
Well, that's my mom.
I remember that day.
That hit me so hard, and she left her keys. She left her cane, all of her jewelry, everything in the car, and she couldn't swim, and she walked down to the river. So that was early in my career, and that was, like I said, the very first one. And then the next one was the other one that we had, that Marc and I both were on that one, and then I've had a couple since then. But on the last one I had, it was one of those things. Once I got on scene, I was the officer on duty that night. When I got on scene, I was first on. I was going to be the last one off, and that's one thing I told the chief at the time. I was like, I'm going to take the next couple days off until this body's found and we got him out of the water. I have to do that for me, for my sanity.
Yes.
The last drowning that he and I worked together while I was still working, I was very conscious for you of what we were doing. and me and one of my rookie officers was down, and where this gentleman was found out was right where we were.
Oh yeah.
We had to wait for the river to come down because the river had just smacked him into the side of the bank. Because number one, ladies and gentlemen, as a public service announcement, if it's raining and the river's swollen, don't go out in a john boat and go fishing without life preservers. Mm-hmm. Now, everyone would naturally assume that this was kind of second nature, but that's what this guy did.
Yeah.
You ain't going to catch a fish in that fucking river. Get the fuck out of it. But he did it anyway.
With his son.
Yes. Well, the son and grandson got out, right?
Yeah, they got out.
Yeah, and he didn't. And where me and that officer was where he was found. He was, a foot below the water?
Yeah.
6 inches below the water?
Basically, the next day we were going up and down the river, and as it slowly receded, we had a foot stuck in these tree branches. We could just see just the top of the foot.
Yeah.
And that's where we found him, on the river. And that was one, honestly, I was really wondering if we were ever going to find him, just because it's a moving water.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, when we were going to.
Yeah.
But same thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did. For the family's closure, that's one thing I strived upon as an officer.
Yeah.
Right.
As a fire officer.
We me and my crew was up there with the family where they put in our city. And just, you just hold them.
Yeah.
They come to you and they want to hug you and they want to cry on your shoulder, and you just got to be
Accepting.
Yeah, it's just, what else do you do?
Mm-hmm.
These people are in crisis,
And that also impacts you. I mean, that's another situation where your heart, your mind, your soul.
You have no idea how much that impacts you, because I take that home. I still live those situations today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The sense of need is so massive, and you can feel it. God, I need comfort. I need to touch you. I need this to be not the way it is. I need this.
Well, it is for them.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're the guy that's going to go fix that. I mean, how many times, Donnie, have you been standing in your turnout gear and just have someone come up and hug you and start sobbing on your shoulder?
Plenty.
I have no idea who this person is.
Yeah, you don't have. Yeah.
Yeah. And what can you do?
But what do? You don't push them
Exactly.
off. You hold them and you
Right.
tell them, hey, I'm sorry. You don't make promises you can't keep, but
You let them in.
Yeah.
And that's the service that you're providing at that moment.
But a lot of people don't understand that. What amount of mental baggage that creates
Yes.
for the lifetime of a first responder.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's so much.
That's where guys like you come in.
Yeah.
You heal that shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one thing I know.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's one thing I remember too is so on a call, and our gloves, our nitrile gloves that we have, and I had one family member come to me and said the only thing I remember about that day was those damn gloves. Mm-hmm. From that day forward, ever since once we called it, I would make sure all of my crew would take their gloves off. It was just one thing that stuck
Really?
in my mind. Yeah, it's like, if we were going to go do something to touch the body, then yeah, put your gloves back on.
Right.
But just because that memory of one person telling me, all I remember was your damn gloves the entire time.
Yeah, but they were fucking Smurf gloves.
What?
You had them stupid purple fucking gloves.
We weren't cool like you, black tactical guys.
I bought black gloves.
Okay.
And the reason why they use purple gloves because purple show the blood. You see the contamination.
Okay.
But I wanted the black gloves because I thought they were cool. But so you heard it from Donnie. We're cool like you. They put black gloves on, motherfucker.
It's these tactical mothers.
That's right. Do you have your outro already?
What are we up to?
Outro?
Yes, we could do an outro right now. You bet.
Donnie, cue the music.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do, as you embrace the risk you must go through, may you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home, the shield within.